The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit GiveStarQuest.com. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. And joining me today on the panel are Tom Grellinger. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Dom.
And Pat Scott. Hey, Pat.
Hey there.
We want to get right into today's episode because there's a lot to get through. It's a very important topic. Pat, you brought this topic to the show. The theme is protecting seniors from online scams. And why did you want to do this topic? And what prompted this?
A bunch of my clients, and I continually get calls from people who have had their bank accounts cleaned out or their accounts jeopardized, or just one after another. I had two this week, and I had, I could look at every week and say, well, I've had at least one or two calls based upon that. Some of them I'm able to help head them off, but others I'm coming in late to try to clean up.
Right. And this episode is not just for, and probably not even primarily for, the folks who are the targets of these scams. It's for the people in their lives who you want to protect your loved ones, for your grandparents. But also these scams are not just targeting older folks. I mean, they're aimed at older folks primarily in many cases, but these are affecting all of us, and we're all getting these. I mean, you just look in your email, or your text messages. So this is a topic for everyone.
Well, and one of the points that I wanted to make is most of the people we know that are, tech savvy or even just regular people assume that these things aren't going to hurt anybody. Everybody will know what those are and just ignore, but then they don't realize how many people are really caught who are very bright people and very intelligent, but just were tired or
right. Distracted or overconfident. That's how I almost got caught, and I've relayed the story before, but I'll repeat it as we go through. In brief, I won't go through the whole story, but even the savviest people can get caught by these things. So let's start by talking a little bit about the problem, which is that scammers are targeting older adults to the tune of billions of dollars a year. Just billions of dollars just flowing usually from first world countries to third world countries. And that's not a slam on third world countries. It's just a fact. That's where a lot of these are. The New York Times actually had a great article, a couple articles recently about scam centers based in Malaysia, like scam towns. It was like a whole village set up by a criminal enterprise. They think they were Chinese, but they were, hundreds and hundreds of people employed solely for this. Some of them were there of their own free will, and some of them were enslaved. Actually, they were beaten if they weren't scamming enough money out of people. So, it's easy to hate the people doing this, but sometimes the people directly doing, on the other end of the line, say, are themselves victims. It's the people a little higher up. So anyway, so estimates are that senior targeted scam losses are in the tens of billions a year, and that's even probably underreported. That's just what's reported, and because a lot of people won't report the scams, either because they're embarrassed or they don't know, or
they can't go through the hoops.
Right. But you had a statistic that the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, estimates true losses for Americans 60 and above in 2024 could have been as high as 10 to $81 billion, depending on how you estimate it. That's a lot. That's
horrible.
That's not corporations. That's just regular folks who are, living day to day, trying to support themselves on what they've saved for retirement, usually. So it's pretty awful. Scammers see the seniors as high value targets, right? I mean, they think that they usually have some savings that they're living on, and they're usually not savvy, about the technology and stuff. They're easily fooled, or however, that's how they see them anyway. And the sad thing is once someone they successfully scam a person, they become a target. They sell that name to other scammers, and they try to get them, again and again and again. And sometimes it happens.
Yes.
So, Pat, why don't we go through some of the common scams that you've seen with your clients, and that kind of falls in some categories. So there's like emotional relationship scams, family and authority scams, financial and investment scams, technology-based scams, and then commerce scams and employment scams. So there's a number of different categories. But why don't you tell me about some of the ones that you've seen among your clients?
Well, one of the ones recently that I had was a lady who's in a wheelchair in a nursing home, and she was communicating with a guy online that she swears was a straight up and up, but he needed money for some type of a medical problem, and so she was giving him money for that. And it was, her friends kept saying, "No, this isn't right," but she just couldn't see that this was fake.
Yeah.
And that was a hard one. And, people will, I've seen a couple where people say, I've had an emergency, I need some help with something, but they build up to it. And then finally, oh yes, but I've got this problem. And so it's from compassion, not romance, but it's really after the same thing, a way to trick them out of their money.
Tom, did you have?
Yeah, I was going to say, I see the gift cards mentioned there, and that's one of the things that I think about every priest that I know of has said, we will not ask you for gift cards.
Right.
And it used to be the old iTunes gift cards. Obviously, now it's just called Apple gift cards. And that's one of the things that a priest will never ask you for gift cards, or at least they are not going to email you or to ask you or text you for a gift card.
Right.
I would go beyond priest and just say anybody who asks you for a gift card who's not a family member, it's a big red letter.
Yeah, and even if it's a family member, call them, talk to them on the phone, and make sure it's them. When you talk about like the compassion scams or the romance scams, like you hear the stories, you're like, how could someone have fallen for that? There was a story recently in the news about a woman who thought that Brad Pitt had reached out to her and was in a relationship. And it sounds ridiculous. It sounds like, oh, come on, lady. But it's the way we've created these para relationships with people we don't really know, but we feel like we know them. We feel like we connect with them. And these people, they act like they're like a person that you would, and it becomes believable. And later on, I think the woman was like, she felt so ridiculous. Like, how could I have fallen for that? Like, but at the moment, it seems so real until he started asking for money because, well, I may be Brad Pitt and I'm really rich, but I'm in this situation where I don't have access to my money and I need some help and I'll pay you back later, sort of thing.
And a lot of times it's like, well, I've got some tips and I've got, I've made it here financially. So I'm going to give you some tips. And why don't you, if you just invest in this particular thing, you're going to see a lot of money rolling in,
Right. So
the trusted authority.
Right. Exactly. So there's we were talking about this. So there's like romance schemes where like sometimes it's long-term grooming. You see the ones on Facebook a lot where it's I'm a U.S. Army general, that, or I'm a doctor, that sort of thing. Any woman of a certain age who's on Facebook has probably gotten those. Men often get ones from young women from other countries, young beautiful ladies. Look, dude, if you're in your 50s, 40s, young beautiful women from Asia are not hitting you up online because you're some great catch. They're trying to get your wallet. So just that's the way it is, dude. But so they'll ask for money, gift cards, cryptocurrency. They'll have fake medical emergencies or disaster relief situations or charity appeals. And I hate to say it affects my giving to real charities. I get so many appeals from, I run an orphanage in Africa, source of appeals, and I ignore them. I won't, because there's so much fraud. I give to verifiable charities who are supporting such things, and that's what I'll tell people is like, I only give to those sorts of charities. I've only
got so much that I can spread out, and so I've done this.
Exactly. I've also had cases where there was a purportedly a young man from Pakistan. He's like a Pakistani Christian, and he wanted to be friends because he doesn't have any Christian friends and was looking for support. And I'm like, I'm not the guy for you. Like, I'm not looking to have, that sort of friendships online with people I don't know and that sort of thing. But he wasn't asking for money yet, but who knows? Like, that probably was down the road. It's sad that you have to be so cynical, but you have to protect yourself and others. So that's the emotional relationship scams. There's also family and authority scams. We kind of hinted at it. The grandparent scam is a famous one. I'm in trouble. Don't tell mom and dad. You'll get a phone call, and it's your granddaughter. I need some money. I've been pulled over. I've been in an accident in such and such town on this road trip, and I need money for my car or whatever. And you say, well, don't you recognize your own grandchild's voice? But even before we get to the whole AI cloning of voices, it's easy enough to cover for that as long as if you have enough information about the relationship.
Yeah, my lawyer, who was very bright, fell for one, thinking it was his granddaughter, and she was supposedly in an accident, and they wanted to keep it out of court because she had had a drink and didn't want to get it on her record. And $17,000 later, after he had paid the repair bill, and then he saw her the next weekend, and he said something about, well, how was your night in jail? She said, what are you talking about? I was out, such and such. And she just didn't even know what he was talking about. And he realized he'd been had.
Ugh.
But she was kind of crying when she talked to him on the phone. But she used the pet names that they use. And so they obviously intercepted texts and emails.
Mm.
Yeah, or what can be shared on social media. I mean, the ones that I have gotten have been in this group would be there is a warrant for your arrest, and you need to wire us this money, or nowadays it would be send Bitcoin. To otherwise we will come and you'll be arrested by the local sheriff's department or police department.
No U.S. government agency at any level, local, state, or federal, accepts payment of fines in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency or gift cards. It doesn't. So don't bother. And if you're worried about it, call your local police department and have them look into it. That's probably the best thing to do. I know the IRS has a tip line. They kind of get busier on this time of year, so who knows if that would be effective. But certainly you could call your local police department and talk to somebody there. Most police departments these days have somebody on this beat. On the online scam beat. It's become big enough, and there's enough of it.
One of my clients was talking on the phone, and I came to the house to help the husband, and he got a call on his cell phone from Western Union, or one of the places that does wire transfers, and said, is your wife home? He said, yeah, she's on the other line. I don't know who she's talking to. She's talking to somebody and trying to get a money order to go to this place. And I don't think this is right. And sure enough, she was. It was a scam that she was, but he heard it in the other room with me in the room.
Wow.
I've noticed at Best Buy and a lot of these places, they have big signs up. If you're buying gift cards, make sure that there are lots of scams using these.
Right.
And verify who it's for.
A lot of these places, including banks and bank tellers, are being trained to look for. Now the scammers are getting wise to this, and they're starting to tell people don't talk to the teller, or giving them ways to get around these protections. But yeah, it's a game. It's an escalating game of countermeasures and measures.
Well, I mean, one of the scams I've seen lately is also the toll road scams, where you get text messages. I've gotten it several times, and the crazy thing is, in the state of Missouri, we don't have toll roads. Right. So I don't know how well it works. I mean, they do in Kansas, and live on the border, so I'm over there often enough, but that is something to watch out for. And one thing that Apple tries to do is, when you get one of these text messages, it will not allow you to click the link, the hyperlink to where you hand over your information unless you exit the message and go back into it. And
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't have an example in front of me, but I have. They will actually prevent you from clicking the link until you've gone out and back into the message, and they will actually tell you in the text to go do that. So you avoid the protection that Apple's providing you.
Right.
So that is something that I have noticed as well. And that's been probably the most common scam that I have seen. It's kind of dried up in the last few months, but there probably last summer, fall, it was kind of hot and heavy, not only for me, but for others in my family. We're noticing it as well.
Yeah, I'm looking through my spam messages and my texts. I use NomoRobo to catch spam messages. It's an app, and it's free. There's a paid version as well. But I'm looking for an example of that. But
yeah, I think you're right. I saw them several months ago, but I haven't seen one recently. So I think they're moving on to something else.
Oh yeah. So right. So if you if I pull one up and it says there's a link to support the USO. It says, is this spam? It says this conversation from an unknown sender was filtered as spam. You can click not spam or you can delete it. And so if you click not spam, then you'll be able to click the link.
Okay.
So which is interesting. So I don't want to click not spam because I don't want to.
Please, thank you.
I don't want to get the spam of that. I keep this.
iPhones are a little safer in terms of getting malware on them, but you still don't want to click.
Since the upgrade to iOS 26 and using NomoRobo, the number of spam messages that are getting through has plummeted. I get far fewer of those than I used to, which is great. I love it. So I want to kind of move a little more quickly through the rest of these because we're taking a lot of time talking about this. I want to get to the stuff we can do to stop the scammers. There's an investigator law enforcement scam where like claims of identity theft or legal trouble. That's what you mentioned, Tom. There's a warrant out for you. So there's financial and investment scams, cryptocurrency, investment schemes, guaranteed returns. They've even set up fake trading platforms where you would go to a website and connect your bank account and spend a bunch of money and because you're going to invest there. And then that website disappears and all your money with it. So you got to be careful when, it looks legit. It looks so you got to be careful even with legit looking websites. You got to do your research before you invest with somebody that you don't really know. So then there's technology based scams. So there's the classic tech support scam where you get the pop up. This is Microsoft tech support. Click here to get connected to us. And then they end up telling you they need to take control of your computer in order to fix a problem. And what they're really doing is downloading malware into your computer so that they can do keylogging and get your passwords and that sort of stuff. So they never reach out to you proactively to do tech support. That's an important thing to remember. If you need tech support, you're the one who contacts them. That's it. Don't rely on a pop-up saying you've got a problem, click here, we'll fix it for you. Yeah, don't do that.
And the majority of my tech support scam clients that have gotten that, it's they go searching for, I'm having trouble with an HP printer, and they just go Google it and use the phone number or the link to get there. And no, it's so hard to teach people. You've got to look at the link, make sure it is the official site. Right.
If it's a Hewlett-Packard printer, you need the HP.com. If it's not HP.com, it's not the right place to go. Yeah. The other thing is fake software downloads. You're not going to get Adobe Photoshop for free. I'm sorry. It's just not, all of those like free download of, or like the software will remove the DRM from your ebooks or will remove the DRM from movies and you'll watch all these movies for free. There's no free lunch, folks. It all comes with a price tag much of that stuff is filled with viruses and malware. So don't do it. And then browser extensions. You got to be careful with browser extensions. You're safer if you stick with the Google Chrome Store or the Apple Store, Apple App Store. But even then, stuff can get through. It's not perfect, but
Well, I've seen Google remove some browsers because they were bad, and they'll tell you they removed them. But any extension can see everything you're doing on all the websites you go to.
Right.
And so I try to make sure that there's nothing except the very basic ones, or they've got a good reason for them.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. With the Safari on Apple devices, it will say, do you want to allow this extension access to just this one website or to all websites? But most extensions, they exist to help you on many websites, not just one. So just something to keep in mind. There's the commerce scams, so fake retail websites, fake stores. This is one of the things why I feel sometimes trapped into doing business with the big Amazons and Walmarts and whatever, is because then I go to these little retailers online and I'm like, but who are you? Like, how do I trust you? I don't want to put my credit card into your website. So it becomes a little catch-22. I don't want to necessarily make Amazon any bigger or in a bigger part of my life, but I also want to be safe. So that's tricky.
I've seen some of my clients think that they're searching and getting to Pottery Barn or something like that, and find out it's an entire website that looks like it, but the spelling is P0 pottery,
right,
instead of PO.
And they've either mistyped or they got through on the Google links, the Google search,
right.
Subscription traps. That's another one where you it's like either an in-app purchase or a subscription. You think it's only $20 a year. That's great, and then you don't realize that no, it's $20 a day or $20 a week or something like that. Yeah.
Or free credit reports that you find out that you went to the wrong site and now you're being charged monthly for a quote free credit report and you don't realize it.
Right.
I've had a bunch of those.
Yep.
Or things just showing up on your credit card statement that you don't recognize, but you don't monitor it until too late, and you find you've been paying 15 months on this sex site.
Right. The fake invoices one. The interesting thing there is they're designed to get you to act hastily, because what I often seen is like here's your invoice for your $850 for subscription to Norton. Yes, that's when you get the Norton antivirus. And you're like, I didn't want to spend $850 on that. What? And then you click the link because you want to get through and you want to immediately stop it, so you don't stop to think and look at the link and pay attention. And that's how they get you. They trick you when you're acting in haste. So whenever you get like an invoice in the email or, that sort of thing, stop, think, is this look logical? Does it's amazing to me how bad they often look. Like it's a PayPal invoice and it doesn't look anything like PayPal. Like if they stop and take a few minutes to just make it look exactly like the actual PayPal link or page or whatever, but they don't even bother because they don't need to, because people don't pay attention close enough. That's the thing that boggles my mind.
Well, there's another one that legitimately uses the Quicken invoice bill pay system, but it's scammers who are using it to generate an invoice through the Quicken system. So people look at it and they look at the links and they're all for Quicken.
Right.
But it's a fake invoice.
Right. Clearly Quicken needs to be doing some improvement on their back end, not allowing random people to set up accounts that they can take money through it. Then there are employment scams, fake remote jobs. Those can get kind of complicated. I don't want to get into the weeds of how they work, but they often involve you receiving shipments and then shipping them off to people and then depositing checks and some things like that. Those are scams.
Well, I've got a lady right now that swears that this is a company, that she's retired, she's ill, she's handicapped, and yet they're wanting her to write technical writing stuff for in the field that she was in, and they've already paid her 2 weeks up front. But, I know her. She just really is not going to be one that they're going to see. People are seeking her out, and she found it on the internet. Right.
And so at some point they're going to that check that they paid her may bounce. That's how they do it. They sometimes request that you pay for your equipment that they're going to send you, or there are fees or other things. If you get a job, you don't pay out of pocket. They pay you. That's how jobs are supposed to work. not pay them. So
yeah, in her case, she got a 2-week check. I'm sure in a couple of weeks, then that they're going to do something to, make her pay something.
Right.
But I can't get through to her.
Yeah,
and she doesn't have any family.
So a couple of other reported scams that are out there. Quishing. So there are QR codes that lead to phishing sites or malware. Be careful of QR codes. Usually, you'll see them, on a sign or like on a billboard or whatever. But if you just see like random QR codes in places, don't just scan them and go to the sites willy nilly. Like, be careful. You're opening the front door. It's like in a vampire movie. You're inviting the vampire in the door. Don't do that. So be careful with that. I'm not saying don't ever scan a QR code, but just be
Menus
careful.
Are fine, but not the posters on the wall necessarily.
Right. If you're in the subway and there's just random sticker on the wall, don't scan it. One-time passwords. Again, we've talked about one-time passwords as being a great security tool, part of your security arsenal. And so what the scammers will do is they'll call pretending to be a bank or some whatever and ask for the code. And this is the one that happened to me. I had a call once coming from Goldman Sachs. They're the ones who manage the Apple's credit card. And they were saying, oh, you're about to get a one-time code from Apple. We're trying to work with Apple to determine whether there's fraud on your account. And so you're about to get a one-time code thing. And once it pops up, you give me the number. And I'm like, no. That's I was born at night, not last night. You don't give out that number. That's just you never do it. And he insisted, and he had my social security number. He had all kinds of information about me, and they must have had a password in order to initiate the code, that one-time password thing, which freaked me out. I'm really good at my password security. To this day, I still don't know how that got out there, how they got all this information. Immediately after that happened, I took a bunch of the steps we're going to discuss in a little bit and locked everything down, changed passwords, that sort of stuff. But I was so close to giving away the information that it just pulled back at the last second and it saved myself. So you never, ever, ever, ever give out passwords or one-time passwords to anyone in customer service. They'll never need it.
Yeah, and I've seen websites start saying that, hey, we're never going to request this code.
Yeah,
I think the key thing is if you ever get your second factor going off, that is the time to realize your password may have been compromised. Right. Go change it immediately, because now you only have one factor left protecting you.
That second factor is the fail safe. It's not.
Yeah. That protects you from if somebody gets a password out of a breach, or for some reason your password is easy to guess, and you're not using a password manager that helps with that. That is the time to go change the password.
Yep.
Now, I have been with a client who was having trouble with their telephone bill, and we got the legitimate AT&T number and things like that. And in order to help them to reset the password, they did send them a code and then had them read it to them so that they knew that they were truly getting their phone number. But that is one of the exceptions. Occasionally it may happen, is they may say, let's send you a code and now tell me what it is. But you have to be 100% sure you're on the right phone call.
You're safer if you called them on their official line.
She called them.
Yeah. But even then, you got to be careful, because you may have got, depending where you got that phone number from. But yes, you have to be absolutely certain in those instances. It's rare, but it can happen. So there are AI scams. That's becoming more and more of a thing. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in our headlines. But so deep fake voices, deep fake videos, deep fake images. It's getting harder and harder to tell them, tell the real from the fake with that. So that's great. Thanks AI. There's sextortion ones, where that's usually not older folks, I guess, but usually often young, naive people, young people who give out images that they shouldn't oughta, and then that gets used against them to I'll show all of your family and friends that you have this, gave me this picture. And
one of the things I've seen multiple times is the wife who's in her 80s, maybe they're getting one of these types of things saying her husband's been going out and looking at child porn, and that they're going to be reporting him to the police. And of course they weren't. It was a virus that had downloaded some things onto her machine, not her husband. And it can affect the older folks too.
Oh gosh. And then check washing or whitewashing, where they mail you an altered check. So that's where the check, it's a real check that's had some of the information taken off using various means, and then fake information added. So it's got the correct like bank routing and account numbers, but the other information is fake. And then you are sent that check and deposit it, and then the check will bounce usually, but you've already sent. They have you deposit it and then send the money somewhere. That's like, oh, we can't send it directly. We need you to, and then you can keep part of the money, and it's enough where it's like, ooh, that's a lot of money just for depositing a check and writing a new one. But that check will bounce, and then you will lose, all of it, and perhaps get even a fine or something.
Well, there's the opposite one where you've and this has been going on for 15 years, where you mail a check from your home, it's intercepted, somebody whitewashes it, and now your accounting information is on there, but their name, and they deposit it into their account. And we had a case here in Austin where there were 4 or 5 people that had that happen, and then one time the name on the deposit account actually was an employee in the post office. And they were actually taking it to the post office to avoid this problem of somebody intercepting it at their mailbox.
Wow.
But they actually caught him. But he one time used his name in his account.
Smart. And of course, Social Security scams. Never, ever, 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 ever put any sort of Social Security number in email or anywhere where it's in public. Just don't do it.
Well, it's worse than that. It's there's scams around Social Security saying your deposit's not making it, or you need to verify this information, log into this site and verify your login.gov ID, and it's not. There's about 6 really bad Social Security things that sound really official. Right.
And then I mentioned the AI. The AI stuff is only going to get worse as AI gets better. It's going to grow. It's going to be harder, and one of the ways that we've saved ourselves is familiar voice or familiar face. A video would have been perfect, or a phone call. We always talk about like call, but even that is going to be less of a safety feature for us as AI gets better. So just something to keep in mind. Pat, you put in the outline, why seniors are especially at risk. As we get older, we have cognitive changes, memory issues that happen. We are older, we're more easily fatigued. We can have illness or chronic pain that affects our judgment. Loneliness and social isolation could lead us to decrease, have lessened judgment when it comes to connections with other people. So, and there's old fashioned politeness, trust. We were taught to be friendlier to folk in the past than we are. So, and of course, technology is evolving faster, and a lot of older folks are just not familiar with it. It's evolved past them, shall we say, and they're not familiar with it, and they are thus easily fooled by people using it, and that's not good.
Well, and there was a study that showed that even if somebody didn't have Alzheimer's or dementia, that there are certain places in the brain that they can measure a decreased activity in the judgment, in the ability to discern something as being valid and invalid. It's a physiological change.
Interesting. And the important thing to remember is that it's not just about being technologically naive. I mean, we keep mentioning that, but it's also about playing on people's emotions and exploiting a sense of urgency. It's in fact the oldest kinds of cons and scams. This is how long before there were computers, this is how con men worked. They exploited kindness, they exploited our emotions, they exploited a sense of urgency in order to get people to kind of cut through the judgment loop and get them to make decisions faster than they should. And that's the problem. So how do we prevent scams? And one of the first things that you had in your list, Pat, was stop, verify, ask. What's that all about?
Well, a lot of times, as you say, they're preying on emotions or whatever. And my recommendations to people when we get some of these things say, stop. I can't take this call right now. I'll call you back, and give yourself time to think about it and call the legitimate authority and make sure what's going on. But, or like my brother was told that his son was kidnapped. And so he picked up the phone and called him. Yep. And I had somebody whose family was in Mexico again, pick up the phone and call the family. Are they really kidnapped?
Right. Your lawyer friend could have told his quote unquote granddaughter to hold and then gotten a different phone, maybe his wife's, and called his granddaughter's phone. And that would have immediately told him what was going on.
Just the fact you should say, I can't talk now, let me call you back, and go to an official site and get the real phone number.
And the scammers they know that that's a bad thing for them. So they will do everything in their power to not let you do that. The more someone insists that you have to act now, the more your alarm bell should ring. That's the same whether it's a scammer or a car salesman or whatever. The more they're pushing you to act without thinking, the bigger the alarm bell should ring. One thing I want to mention that is something you can use with especially with family and friends and the scams of impersonation scams is have a secret passphrase that your family knows. No one writes it down. It's a word or a phrase that you all will know, that if you get one of these calls, and you should never use that phrase anywhere online, should never be in any technology. And if you get one of these calls, what's the phrase? And of course, you're going to once a month or whatever, you're going to have to sit down around the table and everyone's going to have to, what's the phrase again? Remember it so that when you're under pressure, you'll remember what it is. But ask for the passphrase. And that's the one way you can verify. The one thing they can't take yet is your memories. So that's my suggestion of something you do. With email and text, you can verify the sender independently. Don't click links in unexpected messages. If it's a link to a company website, open your browser and type in the name, the address manually. Go to the website.
Or a saved bookmark that you've got is the safer one. Right,
exactly. Don't click the link through. And you can always examine the links. If you hover your cursor over a link, it should pop up. And if it looks weird, if it doesn't have the company's name in it, if it's just a bunch of random letters and numbers, it looks weird.
Gmail address.
Yeah. Or Microsoft doesn't use Hotmail addresses for their links. That's a clear sign that something's wrong.
Capital L, little L, I, 0, O. But the biggest one recently has been the R and the N together look like an M.
Yes. Yep. And it's often very small, the type. And so it's hard to discern. So, with the phone we mentioned before, if they get a call, hang up and call back on an official line. Never give out your passwords, your one-time password codes, or any banking details, especially to people who have called you. And that's the big thing is, sometimes you get calls, like I'll get calls from the bank, so if I've been traveling, especially, hey, is this you on your credit card? I'm like, yes, tell me what the charges are and I'll tell you whether they're good or not. But if they ever asked for account number or anything like that, I would, no, I'm not going to give that to you. I've had to say that I'm not giving you that information. You called me. I don't know who you are. So I will call the bank and ask for you if you wish, but I'm not gonna give that out to you on this call. We've mentioned the red flags for asking for payments, gift cards, wire transfers, cryptocurrency. The reason the scammers like this is because they're not traceable. They are untraceable transfers of money. Anything you do, if you wanted to do something that you think is legit, but you still want to be safe, always use a form of payment that's traceable, and that you can also safeguard yourself, like a credit card. A credit card, you can file a dispute, and a credit card is linked to a merchant account, and a merchant account is traceable. So that's the sort of thing you should default to with online transactions. Payment apps like Venmo, Cash App, or Zelle, those are all also only do those with people don't
or personally.
Yeah, or if it's a stranger but they're standing literally in front of you, that's different. Like if you're
haircut.
Yeah, or if you're like at a church fair and they've got a table and it's like a flea market thing and you're buying something from them, that's different. Like they're literally standing across from you. That's fine, even though they're not someone you know. But like just someone over the internet, no, you don't want to do that. That's not safe. Always keep your devices updated, your computers and phones and tablets updated to the latest operating systems, security updates. And I'm sure everyone who listens to the show does this, but you got to do it for the people in your life who are not nerds like us, right? You've got to do your wife's phone, your kid's phone, your mom's phone, your mother-in-law's phone, your father-in-law's phone. Make sure everybody's getting their stuff. There's 7 people in my family. Every time there's an update, that's a lot of stuff I've got to update, but I got to do it. I got to and I got to go around. I can't just say, hey, everyone update your phone. I got to go around and make sure they have done it. Otherwise it won't get done. I mean, I get 4 or 5 things on my desk that I have to update just for me. And
today started a new cycle of all that for us Apple users.
Did another update come out?
Yeah, 26.3 came out today.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't see that. That's the one that has is supposed to get the first AI stuff in it.
No,
Siri?
that's 26. I think 26.4 is supposed to be the big one.
Oh, is it? Okay.
That's the really big one. But and one of the things I think about is one of my former coworkers and friends, and I've mentioned him before, is that he hung on to a Galaxy Note 10 for a long time, and I kept telling him, you haven't been getting security updates in a couple of years.
Mm.
And so I know that the newer phones, almost all the manufacturers of the newer phones will say, we promise security updates 5 years, even 7 years. But there are still probably phones released in 2019, 2020 that at this point, they don't have security updates at all.
Right.
They're just not available.
Nothing tells you that either. Nothing saying, hey, we can't update.
We don't do that anymore. Yeah.
Right.
And in fact, the people who are most susceptible to these scams are people who don't update their devices very often.
Their economy.
They're perfectly happy to be still working on an 8-year-old phone because it works. And that's the thing, is a lot of this stuff still does work just fine, except for the security updates. So that's something to keep in mind. Use the antivirus and browser protection. I even on a Mac, I don't use intrusive antivirus protection on the Mac, but I do have a scanner that scans periodically on my computer for anything that looks untoward. And
don't get from other than the official app stores.
Right.
It's hard to do it for Apple, but it's easy to do it for Android.
Right. What's the one that I've mentioned it before? I should have had this. Maybe I'll put it in the show notes. But there's a guy who is a security developer who has a bunch of different great security utilities for the Mac. They're free and pay if you want donationware. And there's great. There's one that scans for viruses, so it's really nice. I want to get through this pretty quickly because we're going pretty long. Remove unused browser extensions. Make sure to enable spam filtering, call screening, and 2-factor authentication. So call screening on your phone. The iPhone does this now, which is great. I love that it asks people to leave a message, to tell you why they're calling. But use a Nomo Robo or other things on your phone to screen phone calls and text messages. So that's great. Turn on two-factor authentication. We've told you that many times in previous episodes. Make sure to review your bank statements and credit cards for strange activity.
Medical bills.
Right. If you get a medical bill and you're like, why am I getting a medical bill for this? My wife had this happen to her. Someone in her life who used her information to get medical care and then started getting stuff in the mail. Yeah, that was not good.
Well, and the risk is the person who's being abused by this may run out of medical coverage, for
their
surgeries and stuff are being charged to their account.
Yep. Make sure you set up transaction alerts and daily balance notifications. My bank, since I've Bank of America, they send me a daily email about I can have an alert of over a certain amount a transaction, but also it sends me my daily balance. So I'm like, why did that drop so quickly? And then I'll sometimes go, Melanie, did you buy something? And usually it's what it is. Actually, usually it's me. I just forgot. And if it's an older person, consider adding a trusted contact to financial accounts, one of your adult children or someone else who can also keep an eye on the things for you as well. Encourage seniors to check with a trusted friend or family member before sending money. Have a conversation with the older people in your life. And, if someone ever asks for money, just call me first. I want to make sure you're safe. I'm not saying that you're incompetent. And that's the thing. I think that's one of the big fears for older people is to feel like I'm incompetent now, that I'm not capable of taking care of myself. I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to feel like I have to check in with someone else as if I'm no longer, a person who can live independently. But we all need to rely on each other and really make sure you encourage them in a gentle way. I
was going to say, one of the things is don't chide them if they've had a problem. Don't, just offer supportive help, not, Mom, you should have known better, because that they won't ever ask again.
Right. Exactly.
I was going to say that I think one of the things, and I have seen this, I think, with some older relatives, is that as they get older, they realize that at some point things are going to have to transition, whether they may never suffer from dementia. But at some point, they're not going to live forever. Mm-hmm. And it's easier for everyone involved if they at least have some familiarity with what's been going on, even if it's not to necessarily prevent a scam.
Right.
Or being scammed.
Right.
It's just, it may be just one of those steps of, I know you've discussed in previous episodes around memento mori, being prepared. And sometimes one of those things is, hey, preparing your heirs or some of your heirs that, hey, here's what the day to day, the month to month, the year to year is going to look like. Mm-hmm. How are my taxes done, et cetera. So
yep.
You can use that also as an opportunity to say, hey, it's time to start transitioning. I'm not trying to take control necessarily. I'm not trying to take control. I just want to not have this land in my lap if all of a sudden something happened to you.
Right. Or to say, I'm not trying to take away things from you. I just I want to, stay involved in your life and make sure that you're taken care of. That's all.
My customer today said basically her son didn't want to hear about it because he knows that she was always competent, always on top of things, and he thinks she's just being lazy now. And she says, I need him to be involved.
Wow. Yeah,
that was really sad.
That is really sad. Yeah.
She told me that.
Wow. So the scammers depend on isolation and too many seniors, and this is one of the problems. This is one of the reasons why so many people are getting scammed. Is we have an epidemic of isolation among seniors who are isolated from family and friends, who are living alone and don't have people looking out for them. And this is a problem. So maybe in your church, maybe in your parish, you can have. I would love for more parishes to do things like senior technology days, where they bring them in and teach them about this sort of thing or other aspects of technology, and just keep them in the loop and help them, and provide a resource and be a resource for, hey, I want to call someone and ask them if they think this is legit. There are probably people in your parish who would be, young people who are savvy, who would want to help other people, and not just necessarily family members. So consider that. I think that would be great. I don't know of any parish that does that, but I should talk to my pastor and see if we can start something. Identity and credit protection. One thing I did when I got that Goldman Sachs scam call is I froze my credit reports in all 3 agencies, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion.
I think there's a 4th now.
Is it really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Somebody told me there was a 4th one, and I haven't had a chance to look it up.
Oh, okay. I'm going to have to find that and freeze it, because what that does is it doesn't mean you can never use your credit. It just means in order to use your credit, you have to take a proactive step of going to their websites and then telling them to unfreeze it, usually for a period of time, like 24 hours, or just enough time for a credit check to go through. And then it automatically freezes back up again, so no one can get access to it. But you have to take proactive steps to make that available, and I think that's appropriate. You can also set up identity monitoring services, and frankly, my data has been breached so often, I will have identity monitoring services for free for the rest of my life, probably. There's so many data breaches out there, and every time it happens, they're like, "We'll give you free data monitoring." Thanks.
Well, and one of the things that's coming up now is insurance for identity theft. And your own insurance company, household insurance company, may have a rider. Ours does. And then there are ones like Nord and a few others that are pretty reputable as far as having, they will offer to help you with the remediation, not necessarily get back your lost money, but help you with the remediation.
Right.
For a fee.
Get your stuff back in order anyway.
Right.
And you'll want to report it. I know that it can be embarrassing, but or may seem trivial, like, oh, it's such a small deal. I reported mine, even though they never got through. I still reported the attempt on my information to the Federal Trade Commission, reportfraud.ftc.gov, the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center, which is IC3.gov. AARP has a fraud watch network. I mentioned the local police, definitely, especially if there is a financial loss of some sort, if a crime was committed. Definitely alert your bank or credit card companies if those are involved. And that not only it's not even just about catching the criminals, it lets the officials, authorities create a pattern to see, okay, how is this happening? What's going on? And maybe we can help people by getting inside the pattern and figuring out how the scammers are doing this. So it's important to report it just for the sake of everyone. And I think this was, I don't know if this was, you wrote this one, Pat, or if I wrote it, I can't remember now. But the single most effective defense here isn't technology. It's creating a situation, an atmosphere where seniors feel comfortable saying, let me check with someone before I do anything. If we just get that one phrase, that would be a huge win. Let me check with someone before I do this. And
then hang up the phone.
And then hang up the phone. Right. That's the thing. So that's a lot. We'll have links to a bunch of the stuff in the show notes. And hopefully if folks have questions, please feel free to email us. And hey, think about helping somebody, a senior in your life or a senior who's just in your parish. Help them avoid this sort of thing. Maybe someone will help you when you're older and technology has passed you by. All right, before we move on to our headlines, I do want to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Technology, including Pat F., Dante V., Caroline K., Jeremy N., and Wendy T. Their generous donations at GiveStarQuest.com make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Technology and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting GiveStarQuest.com. So Google had a blog post on their blog about an expansion of a service that they have. They've had something called Google Results About You. And it's a way to it's a security tool that lets you see what does Google search engine know, if you search yourself at Google search engine, what does it tell you? But this is a tool to help you remove search results about you if you wish. What they've done is they've expanded it so that you can enter in your phone numbers as well. So what do you do? So you go to the link. It's goo.gle/results about you, and then you enter in addresses. You could be your current address. It could be former addresses as well. Phone numbers associated with you. Names like I'm Dom. I'm Dominic. I'm Domenico. Like there's all the variations on my name, and then you put it in, and then they will go through the search database, their entire index, and then it will come up with results a few days later. And so I did this, and I came up with 7 results that had information connected to my phone number. So, and these were all these people search databases, the various, the ones who said, they'll promise that they can find information about anybody out there. And none of them were completely correct, because I'm lucky in that my dad and my nephew and I all share the same unusual name. So all of our data is all mixed up like a stew. So which is fine by me. But my phone number, my cell phone number was in there. And so there's a button you can just click and ask for it to be removed. This isn't removing it from those databases. This is removing the search results from Google, right? If you want to have your information removed from those databases, that's a separate step. But this is a good action by Google. I was pleased to see that they are taking some proactive steps for folks here.
Well, Dom, I went before the show and went and signed up for it. So
yeah, good. I encourage everyone to do that. Yeah.
Because I was totally unaware of this, and I was glad you
I hadn't
put this
heard of
in.
it either. I know I'm familiar with the places that will try to remove you from as many sites as they can that are legitimate, and that has sure cut down on my spam.
Yes, that's a big one.
But that is a paid for service, so
right. And like I said, this just takes you out of the Google search, which in itself is probably half the battle just to get you out of the Google search. It certainly prevents more casual stalkers, shall we say?
Right.
Yeah.
And then our other headline is from The Guardian, which is the UK newspaper. The headline is "Deepfake Fraud Taking Place on an Industrial Scale," study finds. That's so happy to hear that, aren't I? But what they're finding is that the deepfake videos and audio and photos are now, the tools are so good and so widely available that it's just become a massive problem. They tell a story about a guy who works, a financial officer at a major Singaporean multinational company, who thought he was in a video call with company executives who asked him to send $500,000 to an account when it turns out it was a fake. So these tend to be targeted. They're not more broadly set, but they're targeting particular people. Well,
I remember just within a month or two after Pope Leo was elected, there was a deep fake of video of him trying to manipulate opinion, I believe, in an African country. I can't remember which African country that was, because it's been, I think, about 9 months ago. But it was like, wow, okay, people are gonna create these for mostly famous personalities, and it obviously it's only gonna get worse.
There was another one where a guy who's a CEO of a startup who put out a listing for a job, an engineer at his company, and he got a candidate, and there were lots of red flags, but he kept going through because he was curious. It's an AI security firm, so he felt pretty safe. And eventually they got to the Zoom call, and it was very clearly an AI fake, and he didn't hire it. He wasn't sure what the end game for this guy was, because it wasn't, they're not like Google, so they're just a small startup. But there's lots of reasons why someone would want to get in on the ground floor of some company like this with a fake job, especially given how many remote jobs there are now. I mean, I'm a huge proponent of remote work, but this is one of the downsides of it. So.
Yeah, I mean, my own company that I work for has made clear that when we're getting ready to interview people, outside candidates, that, we need to make sure, we got to watch to make sure everything looks right on the video. And obviously we're required to use our cameras during those Zoom calls to make sure that, yes, this is the person we're expecting to see.
Right.
And hopefully bring them in for a real interview at some point.
Yeah.
Well, in my case, I was
final candidates.
Yeah.
I was interviewing people in India, so I wasn't going to be the one who sees them in person. So, not. But and there's now, I mean, there's different offices in different cities and so forth. So I don't know if they ever actually do see a person. I mean, I've seen situations where people never actually ever went or met someone in person in the short time they may be with the company. So
the job I had
completely remote.
Yeah. The job I had from 1996 to 2003, my boss and I only ever sat down together in person once or twice. But that was at the very beginning. And this is also in the pre-Zoom days. So we spent a lot of time on the phone and that sort of stuff. So it was a different world then. But yeah, I could see the problem.
Well, I know that there are a lot of people who are pretending to be one person and getting a job and getting the income and jobbing out that job to somebody else at a lower cost. And that's been a big fraud recently.
There's also stories of North Korean soldiers or whatever, people who work for the North Korean state who fake jobs in order to bring in currency into that country, hard currency. So something to think about. All right, so those are our headlines. Let's move on to our picks of the week. Tom, why don't you get us started with your pick of the week?
Sure. My pick of the week is from Eufy. If you're not familiar with Eufy, it is part of the Anchor set of brands. And I know, Dom, you're a huge fan of Anchor as well.
Yeah. Yep.
This is a security indoor cam E220. So one of the things that I had initially wanted to do is over time, I've not just like splurged on a whole bunch of HomeKit accessories and security accessories. Instead, I've just kind of piecemealed it together, always looking for things that are compatible with Apple HomeKit, but also potentially compatible with Google and with Amazon, and now with the Matter standard. Now, this is not Matter compliant, but it is compatible with the other three, or with all three. And so it is meant to be an indoor camera. It can be mounted. It actually can be mounted upside down, and then you just say, hey, flip the photo or flip the video around. And it's a 2K, uses Wi-Fi to connect. It will track based on motion, and you can configure it the way I have to feed data into HomeKit. And so one of the things I do is I can always stream within HomeKit what's going on. And then what I do is I've programmed automated HomeKit to say, hey, when all of us are gone from the house, then if it sees motion, it's going to go start actually doing recordings of it. So I've been very happy with it. Currently, when I brought up the link, it's 40% off at $32.99 on Amazon. Ended up buying two of them. And the reason I bought a second one was because I thought the first one was failing. Instead, there's one caveat I would offer on this one, and that is using recycling the USB-A plug for this camera and using a different plug instead. Even just one of the old Apple 5 volt, 1.5 amp plugs that you used to get with iPhones and other devices, and instead use that because it is well known that the one they ship you is in essence junk, unfortunately. So love the camera. It's a great camera, has a lot of capabilities. It can do motion tracking, it can do a whole lot of things. But that one thing will sometimes cause the camera to go offline, and on the little LED on the front of it, it'll just start flashing like in a purplish color. And the first times I thought that was happening, I thought it was just, because it's in my garage is attached. But you get a large amount of temperature variation between winter and summer. And I thought that was what was going on. Instead, did a little bit of research. And as soon as I replaced the plug, my problems went away. Wow. And I bought the second one. And it was amazing that within a week or two, I had exactly the same problem. So it's not after a certain time, the plug fails. Instead, it's
defective.
It's just defective.
My pick of the week is going to help with this,
for the price, and for being HomeKit compatible. It is that's the one downside. And fortunately, replacing the plug is obviously, most of us sometimes have a bunch of those floating around, especially if you've had an iPhone that used, or if you had something that used USB-A, now uses USB-C, and you have these things just floating around that are unused. It's a great way to reuse it, for something to replace basically this, to replace the one that comes with this.
My pick of the week will help with this. So when we get to that.
Yeah, and I saw your pick of the week, Dom, and I was kind of very excited about it because I was wanting something like this, but I'll let you go ahead and explain.
Yep. But the one thing about your camera, too, is just to make sure folks realize it is a pan tilt zoom camera. So you can control it. It turns, it lifts, it zooms. I remember when pan tilt zoom cameras like this were hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And now, you can get one for $33. It's great.
Wow.
Right. And you can listen to things happening in your garage, and you can, or in my case, in my garage or my basement, but it also, you can speak. You can actually, it has a speaker on it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, be careful about freaking out your family by suddenly talking to them.
Yes.
I remember a story, Dom.
This is the voice of God. All right. Excellent pick. Pat, what's your pick this week?
Well, I looked to see if I had done it before, but I hadn't. And with all of my PC users, backup, whether it's in addition to a cloud backup, a local backup, I use a free product, although you can pay for it, and I've done that too, called EASUS, EASUS. Their software is called Todo, TODO, backup, and I think they've got a whole bunch of versions, but the personal one, they have a free version which lets you do a lot of different kinds of copies and scheduling and all that. But if you go ahead and pay for it, then you get some things that will let you clone and do some additional things other than just the traditional backup and image backups that the free one does. I've been using that free one for years, and it's really been a help. And I've recovered a lot of times from that. It will back up everything, and then you can go in and just retrieve single files or folders from the image backup. And then they have a file backup that's just strictly a file, full and incrementals, etc. So free and paid. I like it a lot. I just looked, and they do have a version for the Mac, but Time Machine is what so many of my Mac clients use for a local backup.
Mm-hmm. And if you want a clone backup, I usually either go with Carbon Copy Cloner or Super Duper are two great
Carbon Copy I've used quite a bit.
But this is an option. So if so it's cloud backup or is it a local backup?
It's a local backup. With the paid plan, you do get, I think, 20 or 50 gigabytes of cloud space you could back up to as well. But the free version is a local backup to a local hard drive.
Okay. I don't think I have anything that would fit in 20 to 50 gigabytes. My photo library is 332 gigabytes, which is...
Right. But the free to a local drive, it could be a terabyte's worth of stuff, and it's no problem.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, I see that on the there's a 30-day free trial of 250 gig of cloud storage space.
That's nice. Yeah. I saw a terabyte somewhere, but that's on one of the paid plans. So you probably get more space if you wanted it. That's great. That's good. Excellent. Always better to have more backup solutions and possibilities. Folks, just get something. Just back up to something.
Back up multiple ways, multiple formats, multiple brands.
3, 2, 1. Every file has to exist in 3 places, 2 different formats. So whether it's a drive and a cloud, and I forget what the one was. Something 3, 2, 1 something. I'll remember later. Anyway, my pick of the week is this great little device that I picked up it's a USB cable tester, and it's got a color LCD screen, and it's got a whole bunch of ports. It's got a USB-C ports, USB-A, USB micro, mini, that weird USB 3 flat shape. And what it does is if you plug a cable into any of the 2 ports, so every cable has 2 ends, right? So you plug you turn it on, and you plug a cable into any of the 2 ports that match what your cable has, and it's got multiples, and then it will come up and it will the basic function, it's got a bunch of functions, but its basic function will tell you whether it does data transmission and what speed. So is it a data cable? Does it do USB 2, USB 3.2? And then it will tell you whether it does power. Does it do power 3.0 or power delivery 3.0, power delivery 3.1? And then there are several other functions as well that you can go through. You can tell you all the different pins, if you know what the pins in your cable ends are, what they're for. It'll tell you which ones are active. It has all kinds of information. It'll do a resistance test for like whatever that is, and then the USB-C has like an E marker, certain codes. It'll tell you whether it's a passive cable or an active cable, the power delivery that it can do, the speed that it can operate at, and then but the basic function is the one that I really love, because sometimes I get a cable, I'm like, is this a data cable or is this just a power cable? Like, can I use this to connect my phone to something? Or why isn't this working? Is it the cable? And then I will connect the cable and it will tell me whether it's working or not. So this is, unfortunately, it says currently unavailable on the website on Amazon, but there are others out there that are similar to this. And so what you want to do is you want to get one that has the various connectors and that has this sort of information. It kind of stinks that this one's not available now. I didn't notice that before. It may be that just they're out of stock for the moment. But
yeah, I mean, Dom, this would have been wonderful for me because my wife was upgraded to an iPhone 17 Pro from a 14 Pro or 13 Pro that had Lightning.
Yeah.
And so I'd put a cable in her car for Apple CarPlay. And she's like, oh, I keep having problems with it. And I'm like, so I would try it. Oh, it's fine, honey. and then later on, I think it was really, really cold. And I'm like, darn it, it is not. I mean, I know what it was. We were coming back from the airport. I picked up the car from the parking lot at the airport, and I was trying to get it working, and it was giving me all kinds of problems. And I'm like, okay, she was right. I need to replace the cord.
I told you so.
And the thing was, in our vacation spot, I'd actually bought a USB-A to USB-C cable because the rental car only did not have USB-C. So, and I was kind of short on that kind of cable, or in terms of what I had brought with me. Right. I didn't have that cable, so I'd gone to Target, picked up one where we were, and I was like, oh, perfect. This is the one because my wife has a USB-A and the USB-C port, and that worked perfectly, and it's been working great.
You never bring the cable you need. That's what it is. No matter which cables you bring, there's always the one you needed isn't in the bag.
Right. Or you don't account for everybody who says, Dad, I need a cable.
Right.
I need to charge my watch. I need to charge my iPad. I need to charge.
This is my cable. So if you go to Amazon and it's not there, it is available on the company's website. It's Treedix, TREEDIX.com. I'll put a link to that to that product on their site as well as the Amazon link.
And what was the price?
So it's $45 on the website of the manufacturer. I forget what it was with Amazon. Let me see if I can find usually you can get the invoice from what I paid it at there. Let's see, view the order. What I paid for it last summer. I got this. It was $45. So yeah. So it's a little pricey, but for what you get, it does a fantastic job at the thing it does. And what I've done is I've also gotten zip ties that have little label things on it. And so once I test a cable, I'll write what it is on the zip tie label. And so I'll always know what that cable is. I don't have to test it again.
I'll have to look at that because I'd gotten Stephen one USB-A and one USB-C cable testers, and with little LEDs that would tell all this information. Mm-hmm. But so this does both.
This does it all, yeah, and it'll do Thunderbolt as well, 3 and 4, Thunderbolt 3 and 4. So it does any of those cable ends.
Wow,
and
very
the USB
good.
cable ends. So yeah, it's fantastic. I'm really pleased with it. All right, so those are our picks of the week, and that's it for our show this time. We would love to get your feedback on anything we've talked about. You can do that by sending us an email to technology@sqpn.com. You can visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/Discord, where we have a very active community of listeners in the Secrets of Technology channel. You'll find links from our discussion and our picks of the week on our show notes at starquest.fm/TEC332. And, of course, you can find previous episodes at sqpn.com/technology. Make sure to follow The Secrets of Tech. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, any of your favorite podcast apps, or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/StarQuestMedia, where, of course, you should hit the bell to get notifications. And we always appreciate it when we get a good review in any of the directories that allow you to give ratings or reviews, and share the podcast with your friends. Share this podcast, this episode, with your friends who are maybe older and you want to protect.
Or share it with their family.
Yeah. Show them you love them by sharing the podcast. And so until next time, Pat Scott, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
Good to be here.
Tom Grellinger, thank you as well.
Thank you, Dom.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Technology on StarQuest. Here's another show on the StarQuest network you're sure to enjoy. Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World. Find the show wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/mysterious.